It will be recalled that 2 days before the takeoff of campaigns, 28 September 2022, Ninas came out with an advertorial in Guardian newspaper titled Notice of Nina's Interrogatories to Political Parties Heading to Elections in 2023 under the 1999 Constitution, in which we listed 10 things that will not change no matter who wins the election, as long as that Constitution is still standing. We talked about the union dispute, where people agitated and flying flags all over the place saying they want to leave the union. We talked about the practical rejection. People who are leaving Nigeria in such torrents. All our professionals are gone, all the young people are in what they call Jakwa. They've voted with their feet. That's not going to go away because the cost factors are still there, will be there even after the election, as long as that Constitution is standing there. We talked about electricity that will not improve, exclusive list. We talked about security that will not improve, exclusive list. We talked about pervasive corruption. We've talked about that so much. Nigeria's Constitution creates the avenues for corruption and protects the beneficiaries of corruption. So under this 1999 Constitution, corruption is official. Many of us think that the problem is that officials are corrupt, and that's why some of us will come and say, I'm the good man, I'm the pious man if I emerge. The Constitution mandates corruption and protects the beneficiaries, because that's the main objective of enterprise Nigeria, to steal and to share the proceeds unchallenged. We went from there to talking about the infrastructure that will include refineries. Refineries, the power over refineries are locked down in the exclusive list. Nothing will change as long as that Constitution is standing there for something that we could do by ourselves. We talked about the other decayed infrastructure, including seaports and airports and highways and railways. You know, they are all locked down by that exclusive list. Nothing will change. We talked about the humongous cost of governance. We talked about the impossibility of rule of law and good governance under this Constitution. We talk about crooked elections and bad leadership that emerged from it. So these are the 10 things we listed in this, challenging the political parties in their manifestos and campaigns and promises to be ready to provide answers, their own answers, to how these things are going to be changed if they manage to win. Because our contention is that those things will not change. It's the media in Nigeria that should be asking those questions about how are you going to do this? These other people say it's not possible. These are the reasons they offered. Nobody's asking them those questions. And they are measuring the length of the shirt and the length of the trouser of the candidates who comb this hair well, and all kinds of things that have nothing to do with how these problems will be solved. And 200 million people, are in danger for these issues that we have raised in those interrogatories. Going back to our constitutional force majeure and our 5-point proposition for how we can proceed. Now, first take out that Constitution. That's the starting of anything. Anybody who is doing anything is wasting everybody's time. And so, we have also been listening very carefully. We didn't want to, we came ahead of them on the 26th to place these interrogatories in the public space so that we can allow them time to adjust their manifestos and fashion their responses before we now come back to invite the public to that debate. Say, okay, party A, party B, party C, all of them who want to go to election under the Constitution, we say, renders these things impossible, especially after the election. You won't be able to solve any of these problems the day after the election, because you are just going to have to gather the people who won election to tell them that, look, we have no union. That's about what we are saying you are going to do. Because if you do not do that, you are not going to be able to take down that constitution. You are not going to be able to solve any problem, which was the reason we say, let us not go renew the life of that constitution first and get people to swear to defend and uphold that constitution before we come back to doing something that will have to start by taking down that constitution. It is dishonest to suggest that we're going to do that the day after the election. And so, some of the things that that started emerging from the campaigns of the parties, everybody is now saying, oh, they will do devolution of power. Ignorance. And if we look further, dishonest. What is the meaning of devolution of power? And they're pointing at the National Assembly as the venue for that devolution. The issues raised in the constitutional grievances, the sovereignty questions thrown up by the grave constitutional grievances that have been the lot of Nigeria and Nigerians since the toppling of the constitutions, that the federal constitutions that brought us together, the federating constitution that brought us together, revolve around the terms of union. And central to those terms of union is the matter of the locus of our sovereignty. Where is that? Who is the custodian of our sovereignty to now be the ones deciding what every tier of government will do, where the boundaries are, and all of that? In a federation, it is the constituent components, the owners of the sovereignties that are aggregated, that dictate the distribution of powers in the union. Not the federal government is the union office. The federal government is a creation of the regions federating. That was how we became one political union in 1960. And so, when somebody begins to talk about devolution of power, that person is arrogantly appropriating our sovereignty to the central government to the illicit central government, the illicit federal government that emerged since the overthrow of our federal constitutional basis. And so, it's like telling us, well, we have seized your sovereignty. We have seized all your assets. We have seized all your powers. What can you do? Now that you are crying, we're going to give our nominees some of those things. We're going to give them aspects of those things back to begin to take care of. And who are these nominees? The states that were created since the fracturing of the regions, the federating regions, on the 27th of May in 1967. The states that were created are no longer the federating units in the manner that should have been in a federation. They are now appendages created by that illicit federal government. Otherwise, how did we come about those states? It was the head of the federal military government each time, dividing up whatever was left since after the first 12. Murtala Mohammed brought it to 19. Then I think it was Ibrahim Babangida that came next, taking it to 30 from 20 whatever. And then finally Abacha had his own 6, and it became 36 states. Just the illicit federal government fracturing, the the units they created for their own purposes. And it is to those units that these candidates are now promising, all kinds of devolution. That is now putting the whole thing upside down. The powers that are contained in that exclusive list, which we are complaining about as having been confiscated illicitly by the federal government, belong to the federating units. Whoever took them to the center and now talking about devolution, but not willing to discuss how we take that constitution that created that anomaly, take it out of the way, out of the arena, to go to discuss terms of union that will be in two compartments of do we want to carry on as union? That's the business we have to do now. All this other, let's go to election, let's go to do devolution, let's go to do amendment in National Assembly, are between ignorance, dishonesty, arrogance, and it will end in disaster. You are not addressing the union question. You are not addressing the sovereignty question. You are not addressing the grievances of the constituent components that have been there since over 55 years. You are telling us it has to remain so. You are telling us you are going to give us trickles out of the lots that have been confiscated by the center. And we've engaged most of these candidates and their parties over time, trying to explain to them, but it appears they have developed some kind of a courage, banking on the ignorance of the masses that are following them about, thinking that, oh, okay, this one say he will do devolution. What is the meaning of devolution? Are you suggesting that our sovereignty now belongs to the federal government to be the one now devolving power, instead of power, being ceded to them by the owners of the sovereignties? There's something inverted in that situation. And those who are refusing to listen now are going to have to listen in more difficult circumstances when the owners of those sovereignties will take their next steps. If anybody is stupid enough to think that this constitution will remain the basis of union, unchallenged, in perpetuity, such a person must be a compound fool. And whoever is willing to swear to defend and uphold this constitution as basis of power, as basis of governance, is also an idiot in the sense of the three types in the Greek society of humans: the idiot, the bigot, and the citizen. The lowest class is the idiot. And so we are saying it loud and clear that we have not made any constitution. All the issues that have to resolve now, especially those 10 that we listed, because those are the issues that have brought Nigeria to this sorry state it is in now. Those are the reasons Nigeria has become the killing field it's become. Everybody is being killed everywhere. Those are the reasons Nigeria has become the global capital for poverty. Those are the reasons infrastructure is in decay. Those are the reasons corruption has become, so humongous. Those are the reasons impunity is reigning the way it's reigning. Those are the reasons young people are being chased out of Nigeria, across the rest of the world. And so we're saying that we have to go to fix those things. It's not about we can't build on the foundation of this constitution, this current constitution. So those who are saying they're going to devolve power are speaking out of ignorance. And in the days ahead, Ninas will come back to inviting the political parties to now come and debate their positions side by side, the contents of these interrogatories. So if you say you have a better answer for that union dispute, we're going to unite everybody, we say no. What is at issue is the reason why they are so disunited, the reason they are all charging their way out of the union. If anybody was in doubt about the fact that the parties and their candidates do not understand what we are discussing, the Arise presidential debate, the town hall, the last one, I think it was on Sunday, I don't know the date, 2-3 days ago. The last one that had 4 presidential candidates, Showore, the one of SDP, the one of ABGA, listening to them, you could see that they do not understand the meaning of constitution, including the one that is lawyer amongst them, the one of SDP candidates. So what are you then coming to do when you do not understand the most basic thing? The instruction material, the rule book by which you do the task is simply the constitution. And you don't understand the meaning of constitution, and you are there saying you are going to go to National Assembly to go to get amendment. To what? Who made which constitution are you going to amend? In the face of the disputation that we have raised about the authorship of that constitution, that we're saying is if you put our signature on a document we never discussed, we never saw, you just imposed it by decree, and we've endured it for 23 years now, since 1999. What is the difficulty in understanding that? And we're saying Our salvation is in taking down that constitution to go to restore the basis of union. And if we can't find common ground because some people have embraced a strange civilization that require them to kill others, or that to hold others in servitude, we will dismantle. So we either discuss or we disperse from the stupid union that's not working. Those who are going to election and talking about devolution by which they will solve this problem, talking about National Assembly that will do amendment, your ignorance is going to be at a cost to you and those who are being deceived, because you are taking advantage of the masses of the young people who do not know that it is National Assembly that is now the custodian of our sovereignty to begin to discuss the content of constitution. We've not made any constitution. We either engage this matter now under the roof, or you get ready to engage it on the street. I think we'll leave it there until the time comes to summon everybody back to that discussion. In course of this campaign, we say, let's not go to election to compound these problems. You say you want to go to election. Oh, that debate will happen in the most inconvenient way. In the most inconvenient way to all of those who are willing to swear to defend and uphold this constitution when they might have won election. Because if you are on the side of preserving this constitution, that's why you are on the side of going to election. Since we say since 2020, let's not go to another election under this constitution. All of you who are holding on to this constitution and going to election now and getting ready to swear to govern by and uphold that constitution, you are the worst enemies of the people, and God save you the day the masses of the people get to know that you are the ones holding the ladder for their tormentors. Because it's that constitution that enable people do the kind of things they do against them. Whether it's the people being slaughtered in the Middle Belt, or those whose assets have been seized in Niger Delta, or the Yoruba that are now living in IDP camps in Benin Republic, or the multitude of Nigerians that are now living in exile overseas. You are the one sustaining the source of their misery, that constitution. You want to go and renew it again in 2023. I can only wish you luck. We'll stop there.